setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm recording this early in the morning. I'm getting up, have my coffee, have my kayak on top of my SUV, and I'm ready to go to the lake and explore. I just got this kayak, and I got it for one reason, and that is to get out and do something different and new. I have always loved being by the water and on the water, and I moved to South Carolina 2 months ago, and I'm at the point where I want to start exploring. I've been working so hard on the house and the property around the house, and now it's time to get out and explore. So I bought this kayak, and this will be my first day using it. But before I go, I have to get something off my chest. A few days ago, I did a podcast on the Graham Cassidy healthcare plan that's going to go up before the Senate for a vote this next week. And I've tried to explain to you how and what this bill does, because there's so much wording out there from all sides of how bad it is and how everything, but in actuality, it's not a bad bill. It's a bill that just takes the monies and starts to control the monies better and gets it down to the state level where the state level needs to be. But let me preface my remaining statements by saying how I believe. One, I believe that healthcare should never be touched by government. And the reason why, because it becomes political. And a good evidence of this is how Senator McCain is acting. Every single time something comes up that President Trump wants on his agenda to be accomplished, Senator McCain steps up and says no. He will not be a team player on anything because his hate is so deep for the president that he will let the president accomplish nothing. So if you want no ACA reform, just count on Senator McCain to put a stop to it. Tax reform, forget it. Senator McCain will step in again, and they'll come up with this fake bipartisan rhetoric. And what it really boils down to with McCain is that he hates Donald Trump so deeply that he puts his hate and his political views in front of what the nation needs to do. It's a sad thing to watch. When you see hate from the left on the Democrats being pounded on every single day, and then it flows over to Senator McCain, and he has hate in his heart too, that he refuses to let anything get done for America because his political views are stronger than his American views. So that is why I really feel that healthcare should never be controlled or put into a hostage situation by politicians. And that's where we see it now. We see a group of politicians who are holding healthcare hostage. So politicians in the government should never touch healthcare, because when politics comes into play, it becomes a game, and it becomes this form where they use to stop the other side. And when they're always trying to stop the other side, that means that nothing gets done for Americans. So ACA, it probably will never get done because you've got politicians involved. So you're going to be stuck with a bad health care bill for the remainder of your lives because you've got politicians involved in your health care decisions. Tax reform. Tax reform will not happen because, one, it's so politically driven that you've got 3 sections of the Republican Congress that are split on tax reform. And you've got on the other side of the Democrats who want no tax reform done. So everything that is good for America is being held hostage by politicians. Healthcare reform, repeal that the American people wanted is now held hostage by Senator McCain. He is holding you and me hostage on being able to decide more on what we want in our healthcare. Now you've got the other side saying that this bill, Graham Cassidy bill, is going to start killing people and everything else, and it's nothing more than rhetoric. And what we see with Jimmy Kimmel, he was coached by Senator Schumer for several episodes, or monologues I should say, on his nighttime TV show. When did entertainment become a political forum where politicians get involved to send a message? I mean, it's absolutely corrupt out there. So Americans are being held hostage by politicians. And now it's time that we as Americans start thinking, maybe it's time that we start changing out some politicians that are just sitting there holding the country hostage. I mean, that's why I had to come on early this morning, because I felt that I needed to say something. Politicians are going to make this healthcare issue worse and worse and worse. They should never even have their hand on the pulse of healthcare or the pulse of insurance, healthcare insurance. This is wasting America's time, and it's putting you and me in more danger on our healthcare issues. Being hostage, being kept hostage, is a bad feeling. It's the worst feeling in the world. We're being held hostage by the left, of the liberals out there who want to stop everything, and by elite politicians like Senator McCain, who sit there and hold us hostage by his vote. And he uses a very fake argument that it's for bipartisan reasons. Baloney. I don't believe it. So I have very little respect anymore for Senator McCain. When you play politics with healthcare, it's worthless. It's mean. And when you show so much hate to a president, it's worthless and mean also. The American people elected members of Congress and also a president that said that they were going to do two things: repeal and replace Obamacare and do real tax reform. And so far we have seen nothing but politics. So that's it. We have politicians playing with our lives. And that's not what we hired them to do. We hired them to go to Washington, D.C. and do a job. And now we have them sitting there holding us hostage as Americans because they want to play politics. Enough is enough. If you really want to make some change today, take 5 minutes. Go to Senator McCain's website, Google it, and send him a message. Or send him a fax. His fax numbers are there also. Or send him a letter. But reach out and tell these politicians, every single politician, do never hold us hostage because you have a hateful political view. Enough is enough. So I'm now going to go out, get into my car, make sure my kayak is tied down to the top very tightly because I don't want to go down the street and have it flying off into someone's yard. And I'm going over to Lake Corey, and I'm going to start having some fun. South Carolina, I tell you, is good for kayaking. There are so many beautiful lakes. And right now, the leaves are starting to change the colors. But the water is still warm because we're still having 80-degree weather here. I really am happy about my move from Los Angeles to South Carolina. Now, I have to go back to Los Angeles because I still have an office there, and during tax time I'll go there and work. But I love living here in South Carolina because, one, I've got a lot of property, and I can spread out if I want to. I'm not close to my neighbors. But even though I'm not close, in matters of feet and miles, even though I'm not close to them, they are still close because they come across the street and they will talk. They will walk down the street and say hi. They will wave at me or honk at me as they're driving past my property. It is a community, and I really love this sense of community. So think about what I've said about the hostage situation that America is currently in with politicians, and then go out and have a good day and do some kayaking. I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
World of Business and Taxes.